Hello, everyone. I'm Darien Gold, and welcome to All Things Pilates Season 7. In this season, you'll hear inspiring stories about the healing power of Pilates and from teachers around the world who will share how they're helping to make Joseph Pilates' wish come true by bringing more attention to the gift he left us, Contrology, transforming bodies one studio and one country at a time. Living in Florida, where there are many retirees, Gail Forrester, our guest today, and owner of Ulta Pilates Well-being, emphasizes the benefits of Pilates for an older population. Gail herself knows from personal experience how Pilates can help in the healing process, and in particular, the traditional method. A survivor and thriver of a mastectomy has only made her stronger and more resolute. She shares this philosophy with her clientele, many who are in their 90s, and under her leadership, they are thriving too. Welcome to All Things Pilates, Gail.
I am so thrilled to be here, Darien. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Yes.
Gail, what brought you to Pilates initially?
It was happenstance, kismet, I like to say. I actually was in the yoga world, walked into a Pilates studio in hopes to maybe teach in the afternoons. And the instructor looked at her client at the time, looked at me, and it was a little awkward at first. And she then shared she was interested in maybe taking a sabbatical. And would I be interested in, working with some of her clients? And that was a budding friendship to this day. She shared her experience with STOT, as well as going on to other modalities, and opened up a world of, I want to say, blessings. I have never looked back, kind of left yoga by the wayside, not a dig, but this just resonated with me on many levels and still continue to just kind of blow my mind, even to this day, 18 years later.
You had a yoga practice.
Correct. Oh, yes.
And you probably thought you were very strong and balanced.
Oh my gosh, you're reading my mind.
It's humbling.
I walked in. It was, I'm strong. I've been doing this, and I was at my prime, and it was humbling. It was humbling, and in a way that was so subtle that really brought home mindful movement. And I've always been drawn to the mindful movement world, hence, yoga instructor. And then it was, I'll never forget rowing 5 and 6 and hugging tree. And I went home and I was like, ooh, I feel that. And why do I feel that? I didn't do push-ups. I didn't do anything, really crazy. But I fell in love. I was hooked. And my next mentor that I came in touch with shared, and this goes back to early 2000s. She's like, we're going to get trained and you should too. And it just wasn't in my cards at the time financially. But as soon as I was able to, and I'll never forget putting that credit card down and saying, I'm doing this. And it was a great feeling. Like it still resonates within, that feeling of, oh, wow, this is good. I'm going to be doing this. So
did you go through a whole comprehensive program? So you were introduced to all the apparatus,
Absolutely.
Which was kind of mind-blowing for a yoga person.
Yes, it was. The way she approached it with me, she allowed me to do more yoga and introduced me to a handful of clients that were open to moving on to trying a different modality in her space, in her studio. And she shared she trained me. She had been in the industry a while. And I then stepped out and said, I'm going to get certified in this, and continue to do so and continue to study since then. So again, not a poo-poo on any other modality, but this just makes so much sense for all bodies. And I'm in Florida. So the demographic that I see happens to be,
Yes.
mid
Yes.
70s, 80s. I'm quite proud of some of them been with me 16 years. So to see them go from, I don't know, upstretch and downstretch and all the things, and now we're dialing it back because they're approaching 90. So it's a rewarding feeling to see them continue with the work, but even on their level and their strength and abilities and feel empowered.
You started with the Stott framework, Moira
Yeah.
Stott's approach.
Stott approach.
How did you get into the traditional side of things? And were you also introduced to Joe's students in a way that you got the connection and what that traditional experience is, knowing where it came from?
Absolutely. I took it for granted initially. And I think it was just the space I was in. And then went into another more contemporary approach, Polestar, and that's where I studied as well. And fast forward, you start to see different approaches, different ways of doing things, and you go, that's quite interesting.
Oh, can you give an example?
Um, what comes to mind first? Well, the whole rowing series, let's stick with that. There are other offshoots, so to speak, on the hand placement, for example, from the sternum, from the chest.
Oh, you didn't learn that from rowing one. You didn't learn hands to the sternum or just the position of the wrist.
Position of the wrist.
Okay.
That the little nuances like that would show up and it would go, I wonder why it was changed.
Oh, I ask that all the time.
And some of it's starting to, I think, with what's happening in our industry, we're starting to see lot more of that. But those nuances would show up, and I always, and still to this day, value learning. So after that, I continued my practice and continued to look into other studios that approached it from the traditional approach and practice more and continue to do so as we move forward into helping different bodies, going back to the foundation and going back to the root of everything. My work with Lolita San Miguel also, she would say, this is Joe's way. This is how Joe did it. And she stood with, you need to understand how Joe did it first before anything else. And I still stand on that premise. And we see offshoots today, and those that opt to stick with the traditional.
That's so kind. It's a very kind description.
Yeah, well, we could go there, but I think the appreciation for the traditional work is rearing even more so. Most importantly, dare I say, clients are coming in and they're seeing the difference. Well, wow, Gail, that's not what I experienced in my studio. And they recognize it. Oh, I do Pilates every day in New York at blah, 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 some, reformer studio. And when they walk into a studio and they're experiencing whether it's the chair or the barrels and being challenged in different ways outside of the reformer, I am always tickled when I see it, and experience it with these clients. And again, they're active aging, as we like to call them, that can do a lot. They're strong in their own mind, in their own right.
Yes.
It's good to be able to challenge them that way.
So they're learning that the contrology system is a system.
Is a system. It's all connected. There's just not one way. I think the most important takeaway that I have picked up in the last 6 years or so, last 3 years maybe even, is that folks want it. Most importantly, folks want it, and they don't know they want it until they experience it. Because, and again, hey, it's a business out there for some. Let me drop 6 reformers in a room and However, when clients experience the full system and see the connection, you don't have to put on, I like to say, a dog and pony show, or, it's someone I heard this week say, oh, it's a group fitness class. It's on a reformer, but it's just a group X class. It's not Pilates, where they're now experiencing the full system and they really truly get it. You don't have to worry about entertaining them. You don't have to worry about it being repetitive. No one's looking for the next cool move. They know this system and they feel it in their body and they want to perfect it even, and hey, hence we call it a practice.
Do you think more people are recognizing that it requires a lot of thought and discipline and focus so that you can define it as a practice, that it isn't just a superficial workout, which can be fun? But do you find that I know because you specialize in longevity and the idea behind longevity, do you find that your students get that they have to be fully engaged with their mind and their heart and their body all together?
They do. They definitely do. I think the biggest takeaway is they all recognize the importance of continuing to move. They're focused on longevity, and some of them are 3-4 times a week. They understand moving the way the Pilates method takes them from reformer to Cadillac to chair to barrel. It's so good for them. Pedipole, I think one of the most underrated apparatuses, is so widely used in my studio. And that feedback where mind-body connection, they feel the whole connection down the spine. And that then lends to, oh my goodness, I know I need this. Prompts them to continue to increase increase attendance. I want to come an extra day, or can I come in? I had it this week. This client's usually twice. Oh, do you have any room today? I'd like to come in, and 3 times a week. So I think from the longevity approach and mobility in joints or stability, strength, flexibility, they get it. And it's not jarring on the joints. It's accessible because we know how to move the system along to accommodate any of them, and whatever their needs are.
Do any of your students share how the work in your studio is showing up in everyday life?
Oh, yeah. I tend to see a lot of snowbirds, and they, on the way back, I think the one that comes to mind is, I don't remember what airport it was, but Gail, I was able to walk to blah, blah, blah terminal on my own, carrying my bags, and I felt good. That one comes to mind. And it's those small awareness that's built in them, Another one of my favorites, anytime he has a misstep, it's like, thank you, Gail.
Yeah.
And it's a chuckle now because he is doing it and he's well in his 80s. When he's back home in Illinois, he's getting on a mat on the floor and doing mat exercises. And if he again stumbles, he attributes it to his Pilates practice 3 times a week. So they get it. And a lot of the times it's the beginner system, and that 100%. Is quite sufficient.
Yes.
Yeah. So they totally understand how it then translates into their longevity.
I know JP right now is cheering you on. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful because I think all of us know that when you're a young, healthy body,
yes,
you don't necessarily have to put the kind of thought into your exercising because your body is so available, generally speaking.
Generally, yes.
And then as we get older, things start to feel different. And yet we have this system that can keep us in check and it's like our, I don't know about best friend, but it's definitely a partner. And then we have someone like you guiding the students. So they always know that there is something that will keep them healthy and wanting to learn more.
Yeah. Yeah. I think from their perspective, if you're passionate about it And I mean, you can probably rattle off a handful of some of the most prominent practitioners in our industry that really speaks to this work. Those are the practitioners that are being sought out, that are booked, that are really valued by their clients, because the clients recognize the passion for this system and then in turn can internalize that system is helping me, blah, 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 whatever it is, XYZ. And then the practitioner that's really taking the time and flying to Denver or wherever to study and expand, their exposure to all the different approaches or maybe the archival work and taking a deep dive into that and taking it back to the client and saying, I picked up this little nuance, let's try it today. It's quite, or just the mere fact that, hey, you know what? She's really into this and I feel good when I walk out of here. So I'm just going to keep going. I think that's what makes those practitioners who really stand on the system stand out.
When we believe in ourselves because we believe in the system and we practice what we preach,
yes,
the students around us see that you're not necessarily a foot soldier as they, but you're in it too.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean just because you have more knowledge and more expertise and perhaps your body can do more things than they.
Mm-hmm.
Your students see that you're in the process too.
Yeah. I think it's at the end of the day how they feel when they walk out.
Agreed.
And, sometimes structural pain, can the method help? Yeah. And sometimes it's just managing it. It's just getting them to move pain-free in that session and then heading out into life. And you can't cure everyone. There's a handful I've saved from surgeries, serious surgeries. And then there's a handful that, we're just continuing to move you. I like to say, you're not competing in the next 50 and over bodybuilder
right.
competition.
Right.
This is about how do you move when you're 80. I had a client take 3 of her young, they're in their teens, and a couple under 10 to Italy. And the walking, they were able to keep up with the kids and a lot of activity. And they attribute it to what they're doing every day.
So powerful.
I forgot the number. I think I did 100,000 steps a day, and I'm exaggerating, but it was up there. And again, the method translates into that.
Gail, life-changing experiences offer, as you know, tremendous growth and opportunities. Can you share with our listeners, now that you're 10 years cancer-free, how has it impacted your teaching?
I would say I'm a lot more aware of, I like to use this term, don't shortchange your joints. And I'm trying not to get emotional because on my left side, my range of motion is still not quite the same as my right. And that was due to all the things, radiation, chemo, that's where the surgeries. And that range of motion at the end point, without force, is so critical and sometimes underrated, whether it's the client being cautious, guarded, had some sort of injury and don't want to really push it. So again, there's that fine line where really reach and find that strength in that two-way stretch. So if I had to pick, I'm a lot more diligent with really honing in on, and I like to coin the phrase, don't shortchange your joints, lengthen.
And they understand.
They get it. I think another big component is understanding from a psychological approach, talk about the mind-body connection, that clients guard it after any bout of some sort of life-altering situation. I've got a new client, newish, a year in, who recently shared she's still processing the loss of her son. 3 years out.
Hey everyone, I wanted to let you know that DarienGold.com has been beautifully redesigned. Besides a new brand identity, the site is simple to navigate. With only 5 menu items, it's easy to glean information about classes and links to the Pilates Mastery app, the ATP podcast, and even to my voiceover website. Plus, I'm offering a special individualized mentoring program. And lastly, Tracing My Path, a digital coffee table book. The Pilates Mastery app has new additions. You can listen to my current podcast season right inside the app. The video player is replaced to help decrease buffering. A replay option is available so you can work on a routine continuously. And our in-app purchase options are coming soon, which include audio only, single exercises, my wall repertoire, and a meditation piece to help you relax after your workouts. Well, that's the latest news. And now, back to the interview.
So that also rocks you to your core, I think, where it's sometimes we think medical faced the big C and you were able to conquer it and thrive after. And it could be a whole nother psychological impact that the breath work, getting back to breathing, mobilizing the spine, really releases, those endorphins and those feel-good juices up the spine that it sounds kind of wooey to some folks, but we know Push Through series and how yummy that feels.
Yes. One of my favorite. Yes.
Yeah. And they are like, ooh, oh, this feels good. Ooh,
yes. Trauma comes in different sizes and shapes, obviously.
Well said. Exactly. Love that. So maybe it's physical, maybe it's traumatic. I had another client who is a partial amputee, young lady. Imagine in your early 30s losing part of your foot and your whole life.
Was she former military?
No, it was medically related, diabetic. At 30, her whole world tossed upside down. And she...
How did she find you?
Oh, that is interesting. I really thought she was a scammer at first because I don't, at the time, I didn't have a lot of contact information. I was in a very private setting. So, it was all word of mouth, but she really did her homework and reached out through social media. I see you offer one-on-one and you speak to post-rehab work. Are you available? I'm like, well, I am. What's going on? And she shared, and footwork. You get a little creative. That's now on the jump board.
Mm.
She can do hanging. She can do a lot. So whether she's working with the prosthesis on the foot or not, you still can always use a system and navigate and give that body. Because again, imagine now you've got nerves that are severed, not only psychological, but what the body is experiencing is quite different than you and I. You and I can feel the metatarsal pad on the bar.
Right.
Our footwork. Her footwork is going to give a different sensation in the body. And how do you facilitate getting closer to it?
Were you nervous when she first came to you?
I wasn't nervous. I'm going to use the word get off on these challenges, so to speak. I think before her, I had an ankle replacement. So I had done shoulder replacement and hip replacement and spinal fusion, but an ankle replacement and now a partial foot. I'm drawing a blank on the proper term. However, she was very open for me trying to get creative. Footwork on the chair was possible, and everything else was available. I speak to footwork, but almost everything else was available because you still do want to elicit that sensation. The footwork has so much depth to it.
Yes.
So recreating what she could experience was always a goal. Lateral movements, Side lying work was a challenge. So fearful, no, but definitely curious on, all right, let's see how the system's going to impact her.
Speak to her. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah. And her biggest win was when she did Hanging on a Cadillac. She's like, Gail, I journaled today about, and we hadn't spoken about it, but she showed up and I said, all right, you now understand what your body needs to do and how it needs to do it, and you can do this. And she was thrilled and did well.
Were you her first experience?
No, she shared that she had tried another space, and her feedback was not a lot of concessions due to what was happening in her body. Now,
A traditional studio?
I don't think so. I don't think so. No. Mm-mm. And now that I think about it, I think that space was just probably limited to reformer work.
I was just going to say, the reformer.
I
Yes.
think so, now that you mention it. I honestly, to credit the instructor, I suspect also maybe it was a group setting that may or may not have sometimes, and again, I don't know the instructor, sometimes you lose sight on how to individualize, even in a group. And we can. We really and truly can. As we know, it's not a one size fits all. And footwork may look different for even when you're in your standard V or prehensile or heels, depending on what's going on. So in any event, she found me and we enjoyed our time together. She's traveling now, but I like that she was feeling so successful. And I think that's the biggest thing, whether it's someone who is young or my 80-year-olds, they're feeling empowered. They're feeling successful. You asked my body to do things I didn't think I could do, I hear sometimes. And yeah, and I respond, and you did it so well.
Yes. What's the percentage of women to men?
More women, more women. What I have been able to build the last 2 years, more couples. Men are coming with their wives and they're doing it together. It's interesting sometimes. I was in a studio that taught a men's class, and it was such a real bear to build it. But the minute they started, it grew. And it wasn't just one, it was 3 classes, just men. And I think maybe it's an ego thing. I don't know. I don't want to assume, but they wanted to be, some of them, in a space where they were with other guys and not feeling like they were being.
Well, yeah, they if they are uncomfortable not knowing,
Mhm.
because they're a little, dare I say, more fragile than women, and somehow they think that if they don't know something, then they're weak,
Yeah, or not successful.
not successful.
They look at a lot of, I'm going to say maybe they just assume looking at the springs and the trapeze table. And that's a little, if you're not sure she's going to have me swing from that, what's that for? And I think the unknown has handful. I had a young lady start with me a couple years back. I'm going to use the word timid. I'm going to use the word, she was scared. And one of her friends invited her to observe their session because she just wanted to see. And I'm like, absolutely, welcome in. And then she had her physical therapist come to interview me.
Nice. Okay.
And she was dealing with shoulders and other things. So she had all right to be concerned.
Yeah.
And she's up to 3 days a week now. She's like, I love it. And she has shared she would pass another studio where I think she saw a lot of younger folks with, the doing all the things.
Doing all the things.
All the things. And the midriff out.
Yes.
And, nothing's wrong with it. But this person just felt that was Pilates and it wasn't for her.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful. She's a lovely person to work with. I'm grateful she took the time and had the courage to come and just let me at least explore it. And I keep an open studio. Come in and check it out. Just watch, because a lot of folks really don't, or still, I'm surprised so many people just don't understand what the method is about.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it's up to us. I think, when we hear about all of these studios popping up, I chuckle. I'm like, our clients are going to find us. Those who want the real deal, who want traditional, who want contrology, who understands that this person understands the biomechanics of the body too, how the body moves. I think that's been a big thing for me, working with a few new teachers, to understand. Now you understand the exercises and you understand the transitions and you understand what it feels like for your body. But understand when folks are showing up with other things going on in their bodies, how do you reach the psychological, the pain factors, and just get them moving as well?
Well, that leads me to another question, because this is all about caring for yourself. And I know in our pre-interview, you did speak about the importance of self-care. How do you personally define self-care?
I look at self-care, I think, a little differently than some of the norms we hear. And I hear sometimes meditations and spa and nail days and facials. But I really think with our world, no matter where you're sitting, there's some heavy things moving around.
Yeah.
And then when you start to look at close family friends, you may be in the age where you're now caretaker to parents or caretaker to, today a client showed up heavy on the heart. She's caretaker to her aunt. And this person just needed to practice to breathe. And self-care, I think the self sometimes escapes us. And I don't discount massages and all the things. They definitely do have an impact and benefit. But I like to say quieting our nervous system, recalibrating our nervous system, that is the best self-care we can give ourselves. How I practice, I definitely walk. If I get on the barrel, I'm definitely doing some stretches. I love to sit and just go catch the sunrise. And to me, that in itself just kind of resets the body. And again, that's how I approach it.
So you definitely put an emphasis on breathing, on the breath.
Yes, the breath work is crucial. I think we've heard it. That's, what Joseph Pilates speak to. The breath, it's the first thing we do and the last thing we do, and we need to hone in on that. We now know we don't breathe completely. I had this conversation to a student today. She practices yoga and had a lot of the heavy breathing. And I kept saying, I didn't want to single her out, let it be fluid. Let your breath be fluid. Fill up the lungs and slowly empty the lungs. And I had to then point out, the respiratory system, in my opinion, when you're those harsh, forced breath, you're contracting those muscles just as well versus allowing them to, quote unquote, do their thing. You're inhaling, the intercostals are going to intercostal. Your diaphragm's going to, descend, and they're naturally going to do its thing. So slowing down the breath and pairing that with movement where you disconnect from whatever is going on, that 55 minute where you are really just honing in on how am I moving and how am I breathing. The breath work can do a lot for the nervous system. We hear a lot about depression and anxiety. I remember feeling the glide of our reformer on the footwork soothing.
Mm-hmm.
I found it soothing, eyes closed. Some say opening is probably better, depending on where you are, proprioception, but just being able to feel the glide, the in and out, that rhythm, so to speak, again, movement, gentle movement also helps to reset that nervous system.
Do you find that students who come to you in this older population group have forgotten how to breathe and you have to remind them, or they know how to breathe, they just need strength and core training?
Yes, they've forgotten how to breathe. They've forgotten how to slow the breath down. And there's times where you're going to pick up the pace with the breath work. However, I think on a whole, where you're finding that length, think about chest expansion and you're breathing and you've got to mobilize in that thoracic space as you move and look to the right, look to the left. You're impacting those small crevices in the body where you're able to then send the breath to that space and maybe even access a little bit more expansion in the trunk. So I find that they need to be reminded more so than core strength or any of that. It's just my approach to it.
So people know when they come to you, they're leaving calmer and more collected in their body, more unified.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, I've been in studios where it's super fast paced, and these are traditional studios.
Yes.
And it's to the beat of 8 and 7 and 6. And there are instructors that teach that way, and that's okay. I like to know that it was a time for the client to really tune into their body, whether it's through the breath work or through the system and whatever we did. And they're leaving taller and feeling lengthened and feeling invigorated, you know, with the...
And more grateful.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, I'm fortunate. I've assumed a handful of clients are there really value the system. I think they kind of like me too, but they really...
Oh, I'm sure. You're very likable.
Thank you. But they really, I really have had, I don't have high turnover, you know, I don't have high attrition with my clientele. There's a handful that it wasn't a good fit, but maybe they would have found a better fit in a different instructor. I don't think if it, you know, was anything I did or didn't do, but I find that they walk out appreciating what this system, how the system makes
what they just did. What they just did.
Oh, yeah. And come back for more.
Yes. Well, if there are other people out there that want what you have to offer, how do they find you? Do you have a website?
I do. It's Ulta, ULTA, Pilates.com. So it's Ulta Pilates. I like to say the ultimate source for mindful movement. So that was a play on that. Ulta, ULTA, Pilates.com. And I'm also on the social media, same handle, ULTA, Pilates.com. And
someone wants to email you? Is that information there or?
It is, but I'll share it here. Gail,
yes.
Gail at ultapilates.com. Gail, Gail.
Wonderful, wonderful, Gail. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, it was such a pleasure. Always enjoy chatting with you, and thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for sharing the love and the passion.
It was my pleasure. I'm grateful for the opportunity.
All Things Pilates is produced, written, edited, and hosted by me, Darien Gold. Mastered audio mix, Fabian Romero. Original music, a.k.a. Johnny. If you're enjoying this show, we would love for you to leave a review on Apple Podcasts so you can let others know what you like or love about All Things Pilates. Also, if you're interested in helping to support this podcast, become a subscriber. It helps with the back-end costs that accrue when producing a show. To learn more about our growing community, check out our show notes. They may forget your name, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Maya Angelou.